Welcome to another edition of Athletes Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host and creator, Alex Turner, and here we go over how college athletes are able to build their brand and understand marketing in a more detailed manner, while also helping you all navigate the ins and outs of NIL through business. Today here, I have an amazing guest with me. It is Hasna. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. She is a former college athlete now at this point, who went to University of Rhode Island and did track and field. So welcome, Hasna, to the podcast. It's nice to have you today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So I know you said you reached out to them, you kind of applied by yourself, but was it like an actual application that they opened, or was it like there are brands that you like to use and you frequent and you reached out to them? Like, how was that process exactly?
So I'm going to use Mogul, for example, because that's the main one I use. You kind of, make your profile on there. So whenever you apply to a job, they all see the same profile of you. And like when you see the jobs, like you have a list of jobs you can apply for, literally all I do is just press apply and that's it. That's all I have to do. And they get back to me if anything. But that's kind of how all the other jobs went. You make your profile, you click apply and just wait.
So Mogul is a platform that's meant for NIL athletes to connect with businesses, correct?
Yeah.
So have you ever reached out or upgraded an account with any of the other platforms that are out there? Because I know that there are more than one.
Yeah, I have one with Mogul, Open Doors, which is not partnered with my school, but I have Postgame, I think Icon Source, 98 Strong. I don't know if I have any more. Maybe I probably do, but I don't use them.
Gotcha. So just kind of throughout this entire NIL journey, what's one of the main things that you've kind of learned from reaching out to brands by yourself and kind of partnering with some of these brands, especially a brand like Meta?
At least what I learned is that, again, every company, every brand can be different, but from what I learned, they're not really picky. They know we're student athletes, so we already have some kind of status right there as an athlete. So some brands kind of will want to work with just anybody, but you really also want to go for brands that have the same values that you do. You don't want to just pick a random brand and just do it because you're going to get money for it. Like, you want to do it because there's purpose to it and that you see that purpose and you want to follow through with that. And to me, it's more than just money. It's more than just a business. It's like, I want to do things that are actually really meaningful to me. So yeah.
How did NIL kind of change the atmosphere of college athletics for you specifically?
I would say, well, of course, like I got more attention from other athletes in the surrounding like region, like in New England for me, since I'm from Rhode Island. But I would just say mostly more attention. And honestly, I've had people like, let's say I posted a reel about track. That one went viral. And then I got so many like DMs from like high school girls saying, oh my God, can you like help me with this, help me with that? And people kind of now come to me asking me like for advice on NIL, asking me for advice on track when, like I said, I'm not a professional in either one, but from what I know, from what I've learned, at least over the past 6 months or longer, like everybody just asks me. So I'm kind of like, I'm like a mentor to them.
How does being a mentor feel? Because like you said, it's still rather new to you, and then you're mentoring essentially people to do similar things that you're doing now, but still some things that you haven't done. So how is that process?
Actually, I love mentoring. I didn't know how much I loved it until like this year. I was actually one of 5 captains on my team this year. And when it came down to the freshmen, especially the freshmen, but like I love getting people through like the hard times. I love like lifting their spirits up and like giving them confidence boosters, hyping them up. I do a lot too. I have high school athletes that I coach actually back at home. And I remember they had their state meet on Saturday. So they called me on Instagram because that's all they have. They have an Instagram. They video chatted me and we're just talking, giving them, a good like confidence speech and whatnot. But it's like, they're like, oh no, I have to call you because they like that, And I love doing that for people. Like, I do what I can. I want everybody to have like the best version of themselves that they can be. And if I can help with that, I love doing that. So I've been doing that I did it with my team. I did it with my athletes. I do it with my friends here and there. Like, I also do it within mental health here and there. And yeah.
So did you think about creating, like a NIL kind of mentorship group within the people that you met at this event to help other athletes kind of go throughout their NIL journey?
Actually, I did not, but that's an amazing idea right there.
I mean, and I only said that because of what you just said as far as, because Gabby actually was talking about you and Asma as well on a podcast and how she was glad that she was able to meet you all and that you all were able to bond very well. And it just clicked that you've already said this, right? And she even said this on her podcast interview that, especially that the school she was at and the school you were at, there weren't really any NIL tools at your school. And that's something I want to ask you as well. But in the same right, there weren't many people to look up to in regards to NIL, especially
Yeah.
people that look like us.
Yeah.
So just the way you both talk about her and what you all have done just in the NIL space already, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out there that would just to kind of love to learn how you all went through you all's journey. And then, you know, collaboration over competition is always better anyway. So
Yeah.
just more than one person could probably bring a larger message. But ask, right, does your school have anything in regards to NIL now to help the athletes there? Or like any tools, any services, or like an NIL collective or anything like that?
Short answer, no. Long answer, no, not really. Like, they always talk about NIL, make sure, you know, you submit whatever, you disclose whatever deal you have to compliance and do this and that. We had a small meeting on Open Doors, I think back in April, with like all sports teams. But it was just about how to use it, how to navigate it, you know, again, disclose your deals and, you know, so on and so forth. But there's no tools really to help us. Actually, at the summit, there was a company there called Advance, in which they actually, you know, educate student athletes on how to use it to your benefit, not just, you know, content creation, but like when it comes to finances and, you know, contract negotiations, all the things that like nobody talks about when it comes to NIL. The woman I was talking to, I said, you know, I wish we had this at my school because nobody knows how to like navigate NIL, not just, like I said, not just the deals, but contracts and everything else in general. Like, I didn't even know we had to do taxes for it until tax season came by this year. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because what you're considered a contractor or something like that.
Something
right?
like that, yeah. But like I told her that that's the things we need. And they don't like do anything like that at URI. Like if I go on Open Doors, I can't even find like not Open Doors, but let's say we use Teamworks also. And on Teamworks, we should have something that gives us guide on things like that regarding NIL. We don't have anything like that at all. So it's like whatever we know about NIL comes by word of mouth.
So how is the NIL compliance when it comes to URI?
I feel like there's not even much to say about it because I don't know too much about it. Like I know the people who work in it, but like the only messages we'll get from them are, you know, make sure you disclose your deal. Like I have so many notifications even from today. Make sure you disclose your deals. Make sure you disclose your deals. And that's it though. They don't really say anything else. If you want to know more, you have to like hunt them down in athletics and find them and ask them a question. Like I think I had a virtual NFT that was up for a little bit, and I wanted to ask one of the directors of compliance, like, hey, can I put the Rhode Island logo like keep it on my jersey and whatnot? Because I know other schools have different rules when it comes to presenting their logo if they're not doing it themselves. And I was trying to look for her. I was like, where is she? I had to literally hunt her down. I found her and she was like, oh yeah, you can do it. I was like, okay.
Some of what you learned there and just some of what isn't talked about in NIL that you feel as if could or should be talked about more so the college athletes can have a better understanding.
Yeah, this was like a one-on-one convo with the woman I was talking to. It's just more knowledge on financials. And I feel like not just in this day and age, but in general, not everybody knows about how to manage their own finances. I would say unless, you know, you're a business major or you have your own business, entrepreneur, but like nobody really knows how to manage their finances. And when it comes to NIL, we make money. That's all part of that. And make sure I really read my contracts, which I think I always read my contracts. It's tedious and it's so long, but when it comes to NIL, I have to read it because, you know, they could put whatever rule in there that you might not agree with.
For those listening, make sure you read. Reading is fundamental.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that. So throughout the NIL journey and reading your contracts, do you have anybody that helps you? Now, I know you say you don't have an agent, right? And you do all the things by yourself for the most part, but do you have anybody that helps you, maybe another athlete or maybe somebody in some of these departments? Like, does your school have like an NIL department in it, or like is there anybody that helps you along any of these processes?
Not really. The only person that has helped was his name is Pat Coran. He was one of our NIL advisors in the Meta program. So I remember I was on the phone with him a few times and he would give me ideas based off like who I was and what content I already had up. And, you know, he's not my agent. He did help me a lot. And I remember when I started doing my own franchise called Tasty Thursdays, which I, you know, go to a local restaurant in my state like every Thursday and try it, make a review out of it. And he was like, this is an awesome idea. I've been telling other athletes to do it, but nobody has done it. So I'm glad you started doing it. So I was like, you know, thank you. But he's really big in NIL. So whatever advice he has for me, I'm open ears all the time.
Just curious if that's something that possibly could think it could go to later down the line.
Yeah, I do actually. That was a thought of mine. I was like, oh, I wonder if like one day like maybe a restaurant would invite me, like that could happen. Even Pat had mentioned that to me before. And was it the last one I posted? I'd gone to this place near my campus called Auntie's Kitchen. Honestly, I thought it was a Black-owned restaurant. It's not, but it sounds like it is.
Auntie's Kitchen do sound?
Yeah. But it's like a small little like breakfast nook or like breakfast brunch type place. And they sell like a lot of vegan, vegetarian stuff. Usually I'm not vegan, vegetarian. I eat like whatever. But, then again, I eat whatever. So when I went there for my first time actually in the fall. I went by myself just because I went. And I loved it. So I was like, oh my God, I have to come back here again. So for this Tasty Thursday, I was like, I'm going back there. I got to do it again. So I went back. I got my usual order and some extra stuff I never tried before. And usually whenever I go visit somewhere, I try to, hopefully the restaurant has like their own Instagram page, which nowadays they do. So it's like, now I'm like, it's a step closer to, having a restaurant invite me, At first I was just going out of my own free will. Now they're like saying, oh, thank you for coming. Like, we really appreciate it. And so, I mean, I'm sure that's going to happen more often. And then next thing you know, they're like, oh yeah, could you come here? Blah, blah, blah.
I like that. So just to close out, I wanted to ask you a few more things. One would be, do you see yourself starting a business in general after, like, because I guess your college career is now over, do you see yourself becoming a business owner? Or do you want to work in spaces that still just kind of help the business side of college athletes and sports, or is it something totally different for you?
I actually want to say a little bit of both. So actually on the plane ride here to Atlanta, I actually made my own logo because I do want to have my own brand. And I feel like having a logo kind of helps me identify who I am and what I want in my own brand. So I did that, and I know everybody likes having their own brand nowadays, so having their own shirts and whatnot. I mean, I want, like me, like I want to sell shirts? Yeah, why not? That'd be pretty cool. But I don't want it to just be because I'm just selling shirts because I want money. No, I want it to be because this is who I am and this is what I do that people can't see, and then be like, hey, if you want a shirt, like this is what it represents, and then you want it, you can have it. But like it would be like kind of a side hustle for me, not the main thing, just a side hustle while I'm doing all the other sub stuff, you know? Yeah.
I do. So is there any last minute advice or comments or anything that you can kind of give to any college athlete that's looking at this now, that's trying to get into NIL, whether they already have one or haven't had one yet?
I would say, especially if you haven't had one or if you're still fairly new to it, don't be afraid to just jump in. I mean, the worst that can happen is a company doesn't respond to you, honestly. And I've helped some of my friends like try to get NIL deals. Like there's actually this thing called Underdog Athletics, like a Christian-based like sports organization for athletes. And they're both Christian. And I was like, hey, like I saw this ad on Instagram. Like, why don't you guys try it? They tried it, and they're both in it now. They have the gear and everything.
Oh, wow.
So like I've helped them, but they were all like, I don't know, how did you do it? I'm like, well, did you make your profile? No, we'll make your profile first. Like, how do you do that? Well, did you do this? No, we'll do that first, and then you can do that. So at least for some people, usually I'm gonna say guys, no offense, they're usually lazier when it comes to the deals. But it's really just not a lot of work, but you got to put in work to get things you want. So really just making your profiles. Don't be afraid to do that. I've had friends who are like, oh, I'm afraid to make my profile. What if they scam me? I mean, that's why I try things. If it looks fishy to begin with, I'm not going to do it. But if I'm like, you know what, let me try it, see how it goes. If it gets to the point where it's like, I'll keep doing it. If it gets to the point where I'm like, if it's fishy, I'm like, nah, I'm going to stop right there. But like, if anything, I just go for things. And if it works out, it does. If not, I can try something else, So, but then again, I like trying new things, like whether it's NIL or food, actually. but yeah, just go for it, honestly. It won't hurt.
I like that. And for anyone who isn't familiar with you, where can they find you on social media if they wanted to, say, ask you a question or reach out to you, or even if there's a business that's watching this and they want to partner with you, where can they find you at? I
have my Instagram, hasna.badji, hasna.badji. I actually just made digital like business card, I think through Link. I think my Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn.
Well, thank you so much, Hasna, for being on. It was truly a pleasure to have you on today. And for anybody who's still watching this, go ahead, if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and follow her now, because she has a lot of insights, more than I feel as if she often knows sometimes. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel and this video, and leave a comment down below telling how much, if you're a college athlete, if you have any NIL deals, if you have any insights to share with the audience, or if you just want to learn more. And if you haven't already, we'll see you next time. Let's go.